Okay, so what we're about to do is a Minnesota Dexterity Test, and it includes instructions for what you need to say to the client while you're performing the test. And there's the placing test, which is the first one, and then the turning test. So, are you ready, Sarah? Okay. The series of tests that you're going to take will measure your eye-hand-finger coordination and gross motor skills. The tests are timed, so you must complete each as quickly as you can. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. First, can you tell me what your dominant hand is?
The right hand.
Okay, so you're going to want them to start with their dominant hand, which is Sarah's right hand. And if you're sitting across from them, you have to remember that when you're showing them how to do it, that your left is their right, and whatever is the bottom for me is the top for them. So, when I explain, I'm going to say the object of this test is to see how fast you can put the disc into the holes of the board using only one hand, and that's your dominant hand. So, I'm going to say you must begin on your right. You're going to pick up the bottom disc and insert it into the top hole of the board. Now you must pick up the next disc, and so on. So you complete one column, and you'll move from right to left from right to left of the board. Once you complete one column, repeat the previous sequence in the second column until you've filled up the whole board. Okay? Do you remember the sequence?
Yes.
Okay. You may hold the board with your free hand if you wish to do so. You must make sure that all the discs are fully inserted into the holes of the board before the trial is complete. If you dropped a disc, you must pick it up and insert it into the proper hole before the time can be stopped. Your score will be the total number of seconds it takes to complete several trials. We'll record the time for each trial separately. When you finish one trial, we must rearrange the board and the disc into the starting position before we start another trial. So please don't touch the disc until you hear further instruction. Okay?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, you can go ahead and put your hand here and get ready, and I'm going to start the timer. Go. Time. Okay? Now, you're going to reset up the board, so the way that you do that is you can just slide the board back over and then pick it up while leaving those in place. And technically this board should be about an inch from the edge, but we just have kind of a small table. Okay, now I guess depending on how you think the person did, you can remind them before their second trial. You can say, remember you're being timed, so complete each trial as quickly as possible. Or you can say, you did a good job, but I believe that you can do the next trial faster. So just depending, pick your script. And then on the last trial, you can say, this is the last trial and it should be your best time. Or you can say, that's all for this test. So technically you would do that 2 more times. But we're going to move on to the turning test. Okay, so now that we've done the placing test, we're going to do the turning test. So, Sarah, I need you to listen carefully because this has a lot of instructions. And the object of this test is to see how fast you can pick up the disc with one hand, turn them with the other hand, and replace the disc back to the hole. Okay? Okay. So with your left hand, you're going to pick up the block from the upper right-hand corner, turn the disc while passing it to your right hand, and return it to the original hole in the board with the bottom side facing up. You must work to your left across the board on the top row. So you're going to do this whole row like this until you get all the way to this end. Now with your right hand, you're going to pick up the first block in the second row, turn the disc while passing it to your left hand, and return it to the original hole with the bottom side facing up. You're going to work to your right until you complete all of this row. As you work back to your left in the third row, you're going to use your right hand to return it back to the original hole. Use your left hand to pick up the disc and your right hand to return it back to the hole, just like you did on the top row. And then on the bottom row, you're going to do just like you did on this row. You're going to work back to your right on the fourth row. You have to use your right hand to pick it up and pass it to your left hand to place it in. And the instructions say when you do this to keep in mind that your left is their right, and so that you should be demonstrating it oppositely so that they can see how it will look from their side. So we're going to return all the discs to their original position, and you're going to tell the client that you must make sure that all the discs are fully inserted into the holes of the board before the trial is complete. If you dropped a disc, you must pick it up and insert it into the proper hole before the time is stopped. Your score will be the total number of seconds it takes to complete several trials. We'll record the time for each trial separately. When you finish one trial, the board and disc should already be in the starting position for another trial. In other words, the opposite colors of the disc will now be totally up. Okay, so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so you're going to put your left hand on the disc in the top right hand corner of the board. Ready, go. Time. Good. Okay, so then on the next test, you can just leave the colors up this way, and you're going to repeat it again to flip it back to the original color. And before you do your second trial, you can say, remember you're being timed, so complete each trial as quickly as possible. Or you can say, you did a good job, but I believe that you can complete the next trial faster. So then you would do another trial, and then on the third trial, you can say, this is the last trial, and it should be your best time. Or you can say, that's all for this test. And so, that's it.